Hey, how are we all doing today, guys? We're on episode 4, episode 5, something like that, of CWA playing TEW 2020. Last episode we had Total Elimination, our first pay-per-view. If you haven't checked that out yet, it's up on the channel. Go ahead and give it a view. And come back to this one because we're going to go ahead and get right into it. The show opens with a shot of the arena before the camera turns to the announce desk. Davis Diterick welcomes us to Championship Wrestling live from Winnipeg, Manitoba. We are 4 days removed from an eventful Total Elimination, and tonight there's sure to be plenty of aftershocks, he says, as Steve DeColte's music hits. DeColte lets everyone know that the board did in fact demand that the television title be defended twice every month, and for once, he agrees with the board, so he calls out Mr. Impact. You've been a damn fine champion, DeColte says, and title defenses on TV are great for business. So, here's what we're going to do. Every other week, starting tonight, you will be defending the belt against an opponent of my choosing. But it's going to be a complete surprise to everyone but me, right up until my chosen challenger walks out onto that ramp. So, you're already out here. Let's go ahead and get it started. Impact looks furious as DeColte walks out. Steve had told them last week that they could have a deal that benefited both of them, and this was definitely not that. Segment gets a 77. DeColte great as always. Mr. Impact doing well, and Angle got the crowd outer. In a bout that didn't have much heat and terrible wrestling, Mr. Impact defeated Hank Gunn in 5:19 by pinfall with a crying game. Mr. Impact makes defense number 17 of the CWA television title. Hank Gunn walks out as soon as DeColte leaves with a generic video. He's got generic music playing in the background. No one in the audience really knows who he is, but Impact, he's well aware that Hank has very little experience and that he just started working house show matches in this year, which is only a few weeks old. So he smiles ear to ear, and he just basically bullies Gunn for 5 minutes. Takes his time, but obviously not too much beating him. Segment gets a 43. The storyline did lose heat. Not really surprised. I kind of knew this wouldn't be great, but fits into the story, so yeah. Alright. In a bout that had good heat and decent wrestling, Double J and Bloodstone defeated Sonny Wildside and David Stone in 12-11 when Jared Johnson submitted David Stone with a Carolina crossface. David Stone was the weak link. Struggling to keep up with everyone else's in-ring performance. As Stone and Double J lock up to start the match, Davis Diterick reminds the audience that both Wildside and Stone were among those eliminated by the new master and student team they're facing off against tonight. Wildside's speed is too much for Johnson at first, and after a head scissors takeover, he kind of falls towards the corner, and Bloodstone gets the tag. Wildside seems to have the better of him as well until he goes for a diving crossbody and just gets kicked right out of the air, right across the gut. David Stone eventually gets a hot tag, and the fresh man goes back and forth with Bloodstone. At one point, he even hits his hot new move, which you can see right here that he's benefiting from. It's a particularly brutal-looking fisherman buster, and he gets a near fall with it. The match rolls on. Johnson makes his way back in, and after a striking exchange, he hits a stalling suplex on Stone, but he doesn't let go, rolls over into a second suplex, then a third, and a fourth. And then he goes for a fifth one, but he goes to stall again. Stone kind of knees him in the top of the head. We've seen that one before, and he reverses it into a suplex of his own. He tries to get to the ropes to tag Wildside in, but Johnson cuts him off and locks in the Carolina crossface. That is the end of the match. Segment gets to 63. Not terrible. Was hoping for a little better, but it's alright. Alright. Post-match, Double J and Bloodstone kind of shrug the ref off, going to raise their hands in victory, and Bloodstone stomps on Stone as he lays in the corner near him. Double J hip tosses Wildside into the ring and locks on an ankle lock. And then just the ref yells at him, break it up. Pulls it off, so he just pulls him off, so he just starts stomping on him as well. They're basically just kicking the crap out of these guys. Adrian Garcia chimes in on commentary, and, he's like, well, maybe if Wildside and Stone had showed a bit more respect, this wouldn't have happened. where Tom Townsend, he's taking his headset off and his suit jacket off as well, and it looks like he's going to go try and stop these two himself, but the DeColt boys and the run down and the attackers dive out of the ring. They walk up the ramp, never turning their back to the DeColt boys, just walking backwards up the ramp, and Ricky and Jack check on their injured roster mates. Segment got a 69, again, was hoping for a little bit better, but it's alright. Usually don't get those, but that's alright. Jack DeColt was all around great, and the angle did get the crowd hotter. Alright, the Queen's Court are having shown having a conversation backstage as Samuel Curran approaches. The three stop talking, and Curran begins to press Nadia on her loss at Total Elimination. "Oh, did I lose Saturday? Thanks for the reminder," she says sarcastically, but Curran continues and asks about Conroy and Young's absence at ringside. "Listen, I told both of them to stay in the back. I wanted to prove to Amber Allen I didn't need anyone else's help to take her down, and even though I lost, I pushed the champ to her limit. I may have lost the battle, but this queen won't lose the war." 53, again, not terrible, but just kind of better than I was hoping for. Hopefully we can get the pop up on some of these workers and get some better segment ratings going forward. In a decent match, Diablo Duvac defeated Antonio Del Vecchio in 11:59 by submission. Diablo Duvac defeats, or both men, they use their agility and counter skills, but it becomes clear pretty quick that Duvac has Vecchio beat in that department. Hits a few flashing moves, including a suicide dive through the ropes, a very smooth float over DDT, and once he's gotten Vecchio back in the ring. And at this point, Duvac goes up top for one of his signature shooting star presses, but Vecchio gets his knees up and Duvac crushes his ribs upon landing. Vecchio starts to work over the midsection of Diablo up until the closing moments of the match, when after being unable to put Duvac away via submission, Vecchio goes for a spear into the turnbuckle, with Duvac kind of laying, or not laying, but upside down in the Tree of Woe or whatever. Duvac hoists himself up, sending Vecchio into the ring post, with Duvac now up on top. He gets a drop kick to his opponent, drops him with a few more moves, locks in his submission, which not sure what Duvac's finisher is, or submission finisher is, but you can use your imagination. We'll come up with something going forward, maybe. But segment gets a 65, pretty decent match, but again, not great. That's a pretty good segment, though, right there. Steve DeColt, the MVP of Angles. Dante Dunn enters Steve DeColt's office and starts in right away. I can see what you're doing from a mile away. DeColt tries to shoo him off, tells him he's busy right now. Dunn will not let up. He knows that Steve DeColt intentionally picked an easy opponent for Mr. Impact and is fairly certain that pattern is going to continue. So, why don't you cut the crap and give our television champion a real test? We all saw what I did at Total Elimination on Saturday, and I'd be happy to take his belt and defend it in competitive matches every week that our fans deserve. DeColt, he's still just kind of trying to shoo him off, gives him a non-answer. Dunn gets angry and lashes out and says, "You were always a coward in your in-ring career, and I'm not surprised you associate with them now." DeColt has had enough and screams back in Dunn's face, "All right, tough guy, in 2 weeks you get your damn title shot." Nothing much to write home here in the notes. 79 for the segment rating. Right. The Elite enter. They make their way to the ring. Drake Young and Blockbuster are already in their ring gear, as their match with Thunder and Lightning is up next. Price runs down the crowd before, just tells them that they're terrible, whatever. We all know what the heels do. And he says that his business with McFly is finished, and he looks forward to beating Aaron Knight at Clash Classic. Tonight, though, my boys in the Dynamite Express have something to say about their next defense. Cam Jones starts to say, since Thunder and Lightning have no chance of winning tonight against Drake and Buster, tonight we would like to formally... Segment gets a 74 because out walks Sean McFly for a massive reaction from the crowd. Ooh, 86 on the rating for this one. And all we did was add Sean McFly. he doesn't even really have that great entertainment stats, which I'm not sure exactly what's boosting it up here, but I'm not mad about it at all. Uh, McFly steps into the ring and walks right up to Price. Jones and Collier, they kind of step up to Sean, but Price gestured that he's got it under control. McFly starts to speak. Christian, you beat me last week, and quite frankly, you outsmarted me. Young comically smiles in the background like he's going to continue giving them all compliments. But the difference between us is while you win because of cheap shots and interference, I win because I never make the same mistake twice. Saturday, after our match, you said this and that about me being old, being washed up, and you said I didn't have what it takes to wrestle every week, every pay-per-view, every house show. We all know you had help, let's say, winning at Total Elimination, so I have a proposition for you. I'm going to wrestle every week, every pay-per-view, every house show starting next week. I do this until last man standing, and then, when I've proven to myself, not you, myself, because quite honestly your opinion means nothing to me, we face off once again. No run-ins, no help, and you can prove to me that you're worthy of being the champ. Price looks interested. He's mulling it over, turns around and huddles with the Elite to discuss, turns back around, just says, no. Walks past McFly, so do Collier and Jones, slide out of the ring, walk to the back. Thunder and Lightning's music starts to hit, and we cut to commercial. Again, 86 on that segment. Sean McFly, man. All right. In a decent match, Thunder and Lightning defeated Blockbuster and Drake Young in 8:24 when Lightning Lomas pinned Blockbuster with the Thunderstruck. Blockbuster was the weak link, struggling to keep up with everybody else's in-ring performance. So Thunder and Lightning both kind of take turns getting just their stuff handed to them by the much larger Blockbuster, but eventually the two wear him down because it's basically 2-on-1. Drake Young's not going to tag in unless he absolutely has to. So Blockbuster eats a couple of double D moves and then a massive step up enziguri by Thunder, just connects right on the temple. It staggers him into his own corner. Young at this point kind of realizes that they're definitely going to lose if his partner stays in, so he reaches his hand out to tag in and then pulls it away. And then he reaches out again and then pulls it away. And as he's debating on what he should do, Sid Collier and Cam Jones come down to the ring, and that distracts both the ref and Jason Thunder. Young tags himself in finally and hits a low blow on Thunder during the distraction. Typical. He beats up on Thunder while he's down, but it doesn't last long. Thunder's the better wrestler, and he hits a massive clothesline on Young. And then he tags in Lightning, who goes up to hit Young with a splash, but Collier starts to walk over and gets just close enough to the turnbuckle on the outside that Lightning's a bit wary, hesitates a bit. Young pops up and tags in a refreshed Blockbuster. He takes advantage of the distraction, runs over to the other corner, and picks up Lightning over his head and just hurls him to the ground right in the middle of the ring. He steps on Lightning, does like the walkover Big Show type thing from back in the day, lifts him up just to chop him down a couple of times, just picks him back up, chops him down, and he goes for a powerbomb, but Lightning turns it into a facebuster, just drops him straight down. The Dynamite Express have seen enough at this point, and they yank Thunder off the apron, causing the ref to turn again, and now his attention's distracted again. But this time, Sean McFly runs down to the ring, and he takes out Collier with the shoulder block, and then hits a suplex on the outside to Jones. Blockbuster's up at this point and charges Lightning. The Lomas rolls out of the way. Blockbuster bounces against the ropes, and in the bitter revenge, Thunder grabs his leg this time, stopping him just long enough for Lightning to hit the Thunderstruck. Thunder and Lightning have a shot at the Tag Team Championship. Segment gets a 67. Yeah, pretty good all around. That's not bad. Ooh, that's a damn good It's a damn good match too. In a decent match, Lauren Easter defeated Laura Flame by 9:47 by submission with a figure 4 leg lock. Not sure why everybody's using submissions on this show, but it is kind of a theme so far. It was definitely unintentional and some of it random. It's a matchup of wrestling ability and striking ability in this one. They both kind of take turns showing off their expertise. Easter appears to get the advantage, but she throws Flame into the ropes, and she's hit with a massive bicycle kick on the rebound. And that allows Flame to take control. She kind of grinds Easter down, and Flame hits her with a flurry of stiff kicks, finishing off with a scissor kick that gets a 2 count. Frustrated now, she gets Flame set up, seemingly out on her feet. She's wobbling pretty good, and goes for the roundhouse kick to the head that she calls the Flame Fire kick. And, her finisher. She's going to try and end it. But Easter ducks under, and Flames, fully rotated her foot back around now and turned around. Easter pulls her leg through her legs and hits a big old pump handle slam, and then locks on the figure 4 leg lock right in the middle of the ring, so Flame cannot escape. Match gets a 71. Yeah, Laura Flame is probably going to be somebody we're really going to have to push going forward, because she's already getting almost the 1 point off of a score from Lauren Easter. Man, all right, we have turned this show from kind of mid at the beginning to pretty good. Knight is backstage. He's cutting a promo about how much winning total elimination meant to him. Not only because it's on its own, it's a big accomplishment, but he has a chance now to win the CWA World Title back at Clash Classic. Skip Bo walks past in the background, and Knight kind of flags him down. Says, "Hey man, I just wanted to say thanks for your help last Saturday. Even after all this time, I guess, we still make a pretty good team." And he puts his hand out. Bo hesitates, but not for long, and shakes it. He responds, though. "Look, Aaron, I don't have a problem with you. I moved past our checkered history. But Saturday was a means to an ends, and I wasn't going to let any of those jackasses pick us off one by one. As far as I'm concerned, it was strictly business. Let's keep it that way." He kind of walks back the way he was going, and camera zooms in on Knight's face. 87 rating. Knight looked excellent. Knight did masterful. Skip did masterful. Skip had that hot catchphrase. Again, we were putting him in way too serious of segments to have given him that bona-fide really bad pun we did, or play on words, whatever, that first week. But yeah, just, again, we can use our imagination. All right, another pretty decent match. In a decent match, Eric Strong defeated Bobby Thomas in 622 by a pinfall with a strong salt. Finally, it's not a submission. Strong has Thomas's number early, and Thomas stomps on Strong's foot, rakes his back, and he takes control for just a little bit, but hits a snap suplex and goes to showboat to every side of the ring. He shows off on one, then he goes to the other side, goes to the other, posing to the crowd, posing to the cameras, turns around, eats a jumping DDT from Strong, who's already up. Obviously, a snap suplex isn't going to keep him down. And, Strong hits a strong salt from the top and gets the win. 67. All right, now we are up for our main event. All right, in a bout that had great heat and good wrestling, Shooter Sean Dealey defeated Skip Bo in 14:55 by submission with the seated stretch armbar. Shooter Sean comes out of the gate quick, takes Bo to the ground. He attempts to lock in the seated stretch armbar, but Bo breaks free and he hits Sean with a series of arm drags. He holds on after the last one and attempts to lock in a triangle choke. And it's almost as if he's telling Sean that, remember, that he has some technical skill too. The two were evenly matched for most of the match, pretty back and forth. Bo, at one point, he's going to go for a big boot. Dealey ducks, and Bo kind of lands awkwardly on his knee. The veteran, limb breaker, limb tactician, whatever you want to call him, Dealey, he smells blood in the water, immediately grabs him and puts him in a leg lock, and he rains down elbows on the captured leg. Bo reaches out and grabs the rope, though, before too much damage is done. Although Shooter Sean holds on until the ref has to physically pull him off. Bo tries to get to his feet, but the knee's pretty messed up, so he kind of has to use the rope for assistance. Dealey goes in for another attack, but Skip tosses him over the ropes to the outside and buys him some time to recover. Shooter, he's going to get back in the ring, and Bo hits him with a forearm, and then another. And Bo goes to run the ropes to hit his big boot, but he hesitates, remembering that he's got a kind of messed up knee at this point. So instead, he hits a headlock takeover on Sean and turns it into the same triangle choke as before, but this time it's Dealey who gets the rope break. Bo backs off, and it looks like he's trying to think of a plan before his opponent gets back to his feet. He goes over, he grabs Dealey's head under his neck, or head and neck under his arm, goes for a brainbuster, but the knee buckles, and he's able to hold on, but as soon as Sean's feet hit back on the ground, he hits a bridging suplex onto Bo of his own. But instead of going for the pin, he goes for the knee lock again. Bo eventually kicks him off with with his free leg, but the damage by that point it's done, and after a little bit of grappling and maneuvering, Shooter Sean gets him in the seated stretch armbar and gets the pin. Segment gets an 80. I think this is going to end up being our best show so far, but we will find out. Let's see how we got one more segment to go. I know we haven't done a whole lot of show closing angles, but we're going to do one now. All right. Not terrible, but not bad at all. Not bad at all. Post-match, Shooter Sean, he won't release the hold. He finally does because the refs yelled at him enough, and he just shoves the referee to the ground and turns his attention back to Skip, when who else but Aaron Knight runs down to make the save. He goes face-to-face with Shooter, but in slides Cameron Vesey from behind and locks in a chokehold and takes A-Game to the ground until he passes out. Sean and Cameron roll out of the ring as refs and security run down to break it up, but it's obviously too late, and the broadcast goes off the air with Bo and Knight laid out on either side of the ring. So yeah, still, maybe I don't want to say tension between Bo and Knight, but obviously some, as much as Bo wants to say it, some unresolved issues from the past. Shooter Sean, obviously mad he didn't win the total elimination match. He did a little bit of work with Cameron Vesey, but are they working together? They kind of beefed at the end of the total elimination match with Cameron Vesey just being opportunistic and wanted to attack Knight. We're all going to find out, but as of now, Knight and Bo are laid out in the middle of the ring, and we cut to black. Shooter Sean Dealey underperformed, and of course now we get the bad announcing. All right, let's finish the show, see what our score is. 79. The show still didn't result in any popularity changes. I'm going to have to look because, we got an 80 in our main event. I know we don't have a main event focus, but, we had two 67s, a 65, no really bad matches. And all our promos were, not all of them, but 79, 74, 86, 87, I don't know. I'll look over the product again and see if there's anything I'm missing, but until then, guys, we will have a new episode soon, and thanks for hanging out. Bye.